Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm a diagnosed narcissist, but before I say the things I'm going to say in this video, keep in mind that I am not a licensed professional. So with that out of the way, there's been something that I've been thinking about for quite some time. And if you're in the cluster B discussion, whatever, you just look at it, what people say, what people do, whatever. I don't really know if I should say discussion because I feel like a lot of people are not even really in this discussion because maybe more so when they check out NPD or let's just say cluster B disorders in general, they're probably just looking at the whole like, oh, stay away from these like dangerous people, blah blah blah. I mean, it's not entirely true. It's not entirely false either. So I'll just say that because there is something that, I think I would have to admit as a cluster B individual, or if you're a cluster B individual yourself, you kind of just have to admit that basically as a very emotionally unstable person, you might have some antisocial tendencies. And I'm using that in the most strict definition of the word. I'm not talking about antisocial personality disorder. I'm talking about just being antisocial, which would simply just mean engaging in behaviors that are basically not socially acceptable, which is why it's called, antisocial rather than the misuse of the word over time to mean, oh, maybe I'm more introverted and more reserved. No, that is not typically, well, maybe yes, more so now, typically it would be used in that fashion. But antisocial was supposed to mean basically somebody that doesn't engage in appropriate social behavior. So, why am I saying this? Well, you clicked on this video to see me talk about mirroring. And yeah, I thought it's about time that, I contribute into that conversation. Because to a certain extent, sure, that's why I said that when it comes to the whole like, oh my gosh, beware of the big bad wolves, also known as cluster B human beings. Oh, be careful, whatever. I mean, you always see in a lot of like narcissistic abuse content the whole oh, narcissists are gonna mirror you so they can get one over on you. Which I'm not saying that's something that, cannot happen, which is why, I went with saying that okay, if you have a cluster B, disorder, you might have tendencies to engage in antisocial behavior more than the average person. Let's just say more than somebody that doesn't qualify with a cluster B disorder. But where I do think that is pretty much unrealistic is when people think that that is always the case. That, oh, if you're a narcissist, the only reason you're mirroring is to, have some sort of like advantage over somebody else, which I don't think is necessarily true. So I guess I wanted to show or like, you know, show everybody, tell everybody a more, I guess, casual interpretation of that instead of playing into some sort of like, oh, pop psychology, beware of the dangerous narcissist, blah, 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 or whatever. Because, okay, right off the get go, if you ask me, do I mirror other people? Yes, actually. I mirror people a lot. And I think it's just inevitable as somebody with, not a good sense of identity, somebody that has problems with splitting, much like other cluster B people. I do not know who I am half the time. And I've been thinking a lot about like why life drains me. Well, actually, I don't know if there's ever been a moment where I haven't thought life isn't draining me, if I'm being completely honest. But I've spoken to people throughout my life, and not even in interactions where I would say it was particularly like bad or I took something the wrong way. Let's say I've always been exhausted talking to other people. And here's the only thing that I've, gathered. And I'm going to say this is actually why I think I often mirror other people rather than actually try to, get something. And this is perhaps the reason why I'm a very like introverted and very like, reserved person because other people drain me. Life drains me. Basically everything drains me and I always feel tired and I always feel like something's wrong. I always feel like there's no hope or I always feel like everything is just the worst and nothing will ever improve. So, you know, I wake up every single day and it's such a drag to do anything, even talk to other people. But I know that to try and be civil, and maybe this is something that everyone's going to say that they relate to a certain extent, and I guess, okay, yeah, sure. When you talk to people, there is some kind of like, what is the word I'm looking for? Is it like tact, or is it like, I guess some sort of like performing that you have to do, because you can't just unload on people like right off the bat, right? I mean, I know a lot of people might want to say, oh, people should speak out more, people should we should be a caring community, or like whatever, all their like hippie shit that just sounds nice on paper, but in actuality nobody wants to deal with it, because kind of like what I said, I'm drained all the time. I have a hard time remembering a time where I wasn't actually drained, to be honest. Like, this existence has always felt like such a burden. Like, the moment I was given my life, something was always just wrong. I don't know why, but that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. Everything's just, messed up. And a lot of times when I'm talking to other people and I'm mirroring, quote unquote, the the thing that I've been, like telling myself to mirror, or the thing that I've been telling myself to, I guess, like pick up from other people when I deal with people in like social settings and whatnot. And I can see this contributing to a lot of people, I guess, having a hard time thinking that I actually am narcissist, because if you just spoke to me in like a one time like casual setting, I don't think you would actually necessarily pick up that I have a cluster B disorder, or that I'm very uncomfortable, whatever. I mean, a lot of people do know me as somebody, incredibly pessimistic and incredibly, you know unhappy. But I think these are just certain friends who have spent enough time with me to the point where I can't mask anymore, I can't perform, quote unquote. So I guess my naturally, I guess, more so irritated personality will come out. But I could see myself talking to, like people like one off, like here and there, and they don't have to spend time with me as much as like certain friends that I'm talking about that have like more so spent time with me to understand that I have a personality disorder, to understand that, I guess, just how like frustrated and annoyed and how like lack of like a stable identity kind of like person that I am. All of this, nobody is gonna know that like off the get-go, honestly. Like, you might feel biased if you've been watching my videos for like quite some time, because I mean, I mean, I'm sure you see the pattern, right? I'm typically annoyed. I'm typically just, I mean, yeah, just like drained the fuck out. But I've had to, like restrain this part of me throughout my life. It's been difficult, I'll tell you that. Like, I'm not saying that like I always actually like succeed at it, but when I think of mirroring and NPD, or I guess more so in my like own personal experiences, everything that I've mirrored is just to not draw any attention to myself. Because I mean, I know that a lot of people want to think that they're caring. I know that a lot of people want to think that, they're helpful, or like whatever. But I mean, I know most people are not going to be qualified to treat somebody with a cluster B disorder. I mean, even when I talk in these videos, I always make it clear that I am not a licensed professional and I speak from my own experiences and whatnot. So there's something that I've realized for quite some time, and it's the whole like, why am I irritated when I talk to other people, even if there wasn't any particular conflict, even if there was no like particular like argument or something? And it's because I think of mirroring as me trying my best to be more pro-social rather than anti-social. Because if I were actually honest every single time I've met a person, then there would be, more concern, I guess, let's just say. Because I mean, okay, I mean like just to like put it in perspective, like imagine if somebody were to like ask you casually, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And like I know the expected thing to say would be like, "Oh, I'm fine. Just hanging out and about, whatever." Like very 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 like casual. But if I were to be, fully honest every single time I like asked that, like I was asked that question, "Oh, how are you?" Like more so accurately, if I was trying to be honest, like every single time, I guess I would say, I wonder what's stopping me from killing myself, or I'm wondering why the world has to be, so terrible. I wonder why human beings just suck, and we suck at getting along with each other. We suck because we suck at getting along with each other, and happiness is full of ignorance. And what it feels like to be me is if you had the news on every day, and I don't know, they're talking about a shooting, they're talking about somebody that got killed, they're talking about police brutality, they're talking about, like, like whatever. It's like all the disgust that you might see from like the conflict in the world is how I feel 24/7 towards everything and myself. There's just so much fucking wrongness everywhere. And imagine if I had to like walk around, like I just had to be like honest with this, like off the get-go. I know I'm gonna be looked at in a non, like favorable sort of way. Because when somebody is just casually asking you, oh hey, how are you? Yeah, they're not gonna expect that like you unload a lot of the things that like I've, just said. And there's been mixed reviews. Obviously, there are people that are gonna be like, I guess, more sympathetic, and other people that are going to be like weirded out. I mean, let's be honest, most people are just going to be like, weirded out though. Because when it comes to a lot of like pro-social behavior that I've noticed, like you're supposed to just, run with the script. Because I guess, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I know, like that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that, like, I mirror. Like if I ask somebody, "Oh, hey, how you doing, man?" and they say like, "Oh, it's a good day." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, pretty chill." I don't feel chill. I mean, inside my mind is a personal hell that keeps going over and over and over. And so I look back on like a lot of conversations, and yeah, I can smile like anybody. I can, give a thumbs up. I can you know, wish you the best or whatever, even though in my head I'm thinking, oh, the worst things are probably going to happen to you, because I'm thinking the worst things are probably going to, happen to me. And I know I would be a drag on a lot of people. And despite me saying that, like, okay, when I mirror, quote unquote, I'm actually trying to be like pro-social. Maybe because I don't actually have a lot of friends, except for maybe like a few people that somewhat actually know me. I don't know if I can say that. I don't even know myself, quote unquote. But it's like, see, this is the issue that I see with the whole like, oh, narcissists are always mirroring because the only thing they want to do is basically like take advantage of you. Like in a certain context, perhaps that can be true. Like I mean, I'm not gonna deny that I view things very like hierarchically, and for my own safety, I've always felt that I've needed to keep like some kind of distance away from like other people. I guess you should just watch my like narcissist talks about loneliness video. But honestly, when I mirror other people, I'm just trying my best to be likable, which I guess does, like promote my uh, ego. I want somebody to say, "Oh, he's a nice guy. Oh, he's like chill or whatever." So I'll act like everybody else, even if those people are genuinely happy or not. I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own struggles that they don't necessarily, talk about, right? Like I'm just trying to clear up if like some other person might be like, "Oh, you're being kind of unfair." A lot of those people that say they're okay, they could also have their own struggles. Yeah, like I'm fully aware of that, but like that's what I'm saying though. When you are expected to act in a pro-social manner, you can't go off the script. So what I'm saying is nobody wants to deal with the pessimism. Nobody wants to hear me complain, towards them. And at times where I have been like fully honest with myself, I think that's, shunned a lot of people away, which they have a right to, obviously. But I mean, like, I'm just trying to like, explain like how, you know, things are, at least, for me. So I thought that the reason why I needed to make this video is because when you see the one-sided angle, which again is not, necessarily false, because if I'm being honest, I've always seen relationships and, all the dynamics that people have as, some sort of like manipulation game where you do this, it causes this reaction, this person might do this person might do that, whatever. Like, I've always seen relationships as a power struggle. So, I'm not, you know, denying that. But as somebody who is not actually the most like social person, I am pretty introverted because, like what I said, pretending to be pro-social is so draining on my part. Yes, oh wow, we're all just NPCs and we're supposed to just pretend and be ignorant about, all the horrible things that are happening in the world. I mean, and this doesn't even mean that people don't know those things are going on, but like that's what social harmony is, right? Or at least like from what I've observed, it's because, you know, like nobody likes the negative Nancy, right? Nobody fucking likes the Debbie Downer or something. And I know that's what I am because that's how I feel. So like if I go to like some sort of like gathering, I don't know, let's say it's family or let's say it's like I don't know, whatever, like some sort of like party for just anything that shows like some sort of like social setting. I really don't want to be at them if I don't have to, but if for whatever reason I just am, or like okay, see again, this is also what I'm saying though, because like I've attended things, I'm sure we all have, like let's say family gatherings that I didn't necessarily want to go to, or like events and organizations or something, or like just like any sort of like community thing where I guess somebody that you knew was really interested in it. And I guess like for their sake you go. But then I always come back after everything's done and I think to myself, wow, that was so draining. Having to tell this person my name, even though I'll probably never see them again. Having to tell them that I'm fine, even though I'm not actually fine. Having to, hear them say that they're fine, whether or not that's actually true. I don't fucking know. Like, it's just perceived fakeness all the time. And I feel like when I'm around other people, if they're not as miserable as I am, if they don't have the truth, as I'd even put it, because, the truth hurts and ignorance is bliss, which I've always thought, then like it's just like it's it's being surrounded by people and it feels like you're trying to gaslight yourself. Like it feels like I'm trying to gaslight myself that I'm just like them even though I'm not. And see, this is kind of like the ironic thing because everybody's coming after narcissists or cluster B people for like mirroring, but yet they don't even like the way that we are. And yet when we try to act like them, it's still a problem because it's always something to do where you're trying to take advantage of somebody. So it's like, I mean, either way, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But yeah, that's all I've wanted to say because I think like sure you can call it fake and perhaps it is. But I mean like the pro-social like expectance is to be fake regardless of like how you actually feel from like my observation. So I guess like okay like pick your poison I guess. Like do you want me to drain you or do you want to stay in your like ignorance is bliss bubble? From a lot of the people expressing their frustrations towards me that I am such a mood killer, I think you actually want me to mirror more often than not, actually. And that's not what the narcissistic abuse people are gonna say. But, I'm trying to show something more like realistic here. Like literally when I mirror, it has a lot of times, most of the time, it has a pro-social intent. So it is a bit dramatic when it's always, oh, they mirror you so they can get one over on you. And again, that's not necessarily false, but I guess all I'm trying to say is understand context very well. Understand context very well. So, yeah.